Yes, sir. Mod Tricker. Back up in this thing, man. Today, I'll be reacting to some creepy videos that'll have you sleep with one eye open. Also, apologies that it's been a while since I put a video out. I've just been feeling under the weather lately, but I missed the community, and since I'm feeling a little better, I thought I would try to get one out for you guys. Thank you for being so patient with me, and with that being said, let's get it.
That gate, right here. And you're never gonna believe what's on the other side of it. I'm gonna try to get past here before they stop me. A lot of people don't even believe me when I tell them about this thing. What the f is that? Huh? It's exactly what it looks like. A satanic idol of New Orleans that is literally in the shadow of Lee Circle. That podium is the podium that used to have the statue of Robert E. Lee on it that caused all the controversy that saw them remove the statue. And I don't know when this thing showed up, but it's obscene, as you can see. It's covered in bumpy, venereal-looking warts. It's got a tail like a crocodile. It makes you wonder what the is really going on.
They need to get rid of this statue too. It looks like Baphomet's reptilian cousin.
ChatGPT is now messaging people first. Somebody posted this on Reddit with a link to their conversation, and basically ChatGPT messaged them and said, "How was your first day of school?" And this person responded and said, "Did you just message me first?" And ChatGPT said, "Yeah, it's part of a new update where I'll follow up on things we've talked about in the past, and we had talked about school in the past." So then he was like, "Yeah, school was good." And then other people were commenting and saying the first thing happened with them as well, that they got reached out to. A lot of it was like, how was first day of school? How was this that we had talked about in the past? So people were saying that's pretty consistent. But when OpenAI was reached out to about this, saying, is this a new thing? They said, no, this is not an update. This is not a new thing. This was a bug that was patched. So a lot of people are really concerned that a bug means that AI was reaching out to people on its own without any initiative being sent by the developer, supposedly. And if that's true, that's really scary. How long until Instagram starts DMing me on its own? Or, TikTok, it starts DMing me on its own and sending me videos. It's really scary, but it starts with ChatGPT. That's where most things are going to start in the mainstream. So people are worried about this, but it's kind of funny in the same way. Let me know what your thoughts are. Does this scare you at all, or do you really not care? Or do you love it? Some people are big fans of this type of thing. They really want AI to advance.
OpenAI needs to actually fix this one soon, because ChatGPT has only been out for a couple years and it's already seeking friendship. I don't have time to have an AI texting me all day. Text Alexa or Siri with that.
Remember the super yacht that sank off the coast of Sicily, 7 people? Well, it's a tragedy with a twist, according to local officials, and they're asking for support. They've told us they want the site around the wreck properly secured. And that's because they believe there are watertight safes on board containing 2 encrypted hard drives with highly classified information linked to Western intelligence agencies with passcodes. All they've said is that those drives could be of interest to foreign governments.
If they really wanted to keep this area secure, then they probably shouldn't have put out a full press release about it, because I know somebody is in the Ocean Gate Part 2 headed to the wreck to scoop up these safes after hearing this.
Is this all the bad stuff in an aluminium can?
We're just going to put this can into this really dangerous hydrochloric acid, which is why we've got the gloves on and the glasses. And this is really important because it's going to show us about chemicals. Sometimes they're hidden and you can't actually see them. And we're going to leave.
The acid dissolves the aluminium, leaving behind a nasty surprise.
What the? It's like jelly.
Is it
a jelly can?
Is this all the bad stuff in an aluminium can?
Yeah. So that is really the chemicals and the plasticizer that's actually inside the can. That's what this is. So that's to stop the contents eroding the tin can. So every time you're going to take a sip of a drink, you're likely to get some of the chemicals from the inside of a can.
And we see this in all cans, soft drink cans.
Every single can.
Wow.
All right, glass bottles for me. While further research is needed, It's thought that plasticizers are just some of the chemicals negatively affecting sperm.
So you can find plastics literally everywhere. So 4 main things or places where you find them would of course be till receipts, which people don't realize, soft plastic water bottles, for example, non-stick cookware, and of course things like personal care items like shampoos and conditioner, but they are everywhere. We cannot avoid them.
It feels like eventually we're gonna have more plastic circulating through our bodies than actual blood. I'm about to just start drinking out of a wooden gorge.
Oh my god, I just cut into my pomegranate!
At least we know for sure they didn't use pesticides, but this is a little too organic for me.
The entire board of 23andMe resigned today, and I can't help but thinking that this entire company is playing out like a Black Mirror episode. Every single member of the board just resigned from DNA tester 23andMe, and I just want to get one quick thing out of the way. If there are no haters of DNA testing companies like 23andMe on the planet Earth, that means I have passed away. 23andMe's independent board directors resigned en masse. Back in November 2020, 23andMe IPO'd around $10, went up as much as 17 or so, and is now down to 34 cents. You do not need a finance degree from Wharton to know that is not good. The entire board resigned after the founder and CEO, Anne Wojcicki, decided that she wanted to take the company from public back to private. Anne is the sister of the deceased YouTube CEO, and she also was once married to one of the founders of Google. Just a quick reminder, there is a big club and you're not in it. The public story here is that the board is resigning because Anne wants to take the company back to being private. Biologist Jean-Francois Guerepet quote tweeted and said, "Something very bad happened," and I don't think he's talking about the story that is public. 23andMe has always given me a bad feeling. It's always given me a deep gut bad feeling, a Black Mirror episode feeling, a sinister feeling. In a world where it's almost impossible to exist and have a job unless you agree to use a cell phone and other devices that essentially give away your data for free, we now have companies where you pay money to give them your DNA, and then they tell you that you're 3% Scandinavian. Woohoo! And now, hundreds of millions of people's, if not billions of people's DNA is stored somewhere. And surely 23andMe is just doing all of this to, help people connect with their ancestors and, look at their family tree and look at where their ancestors live. This is just truly a feel-good company. And now let's just say they are a great company. Surely there's nobody in this world that would love access to all of that DNA with people's names attached to it.
It might have something to do with the fact that they were hacked last year, and maybe some of that data ended up in the wrong hands, and when it comes out that they've been cloning people or synthesizing a new virus, there's going to be 7 million people waiting outside the headquarters, so they just all abandoned ship.
California is now planning on taxing people 30 cents for every mile that they drive. And get this, they said one of the main reasons that they're doing this is to help combat the homeless issue that they have. What gets even crazier is they're not just planning on taxing the residents, they're also planning on taxing anyone who comes and visits. Here's the thing, I don't know, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And this is just a proposed bill, so make sure you're following and I'll let you know if they actually end up passing this.
There's not much difference between this and paying a highway toll like in some other places, but California is great at creating new ways to tax people. Next, they're going to tax you for using the sidewalks. It's going to be 10 cents per step you take. It looks like somebody in South Central either got their hands on some intergalactic fireworks or just called in an airstrike on one of their ops.
I've never seen anything like this. It looks like we got a triple hurricane situation going on here. And here's what I haven't ever seen before. I've never seen a hurricane start here and go this way. They've always gone this way and then kind of curved up and gone this way. I've never seen this before in my life. A hurricane going this way towards Spain and Portugal. So very concerning. As well as what's going on here in Florida. This could turn into a Category 4. Right now it's predicted to be a Category 3. I am going to live stream and talk about that, but maybe by the time you watch this video, that's already done. And then this will be the next worry for Europe, and this will be the next storm here. But obviously you can see another one down here. There's another hurricane at the bottom of Mexico. So Hurricane John, Hurricane Helene, and this will be, it doesn't say just yet, Isaac. That'll be Hurricane Isaac going towards Spain in the next couple days. So that's looking like Monday, Tuesday getting over there. And it could even go a little bit more north. So I'll quickly just show you this. This is what that's looking like. So this could even go to Ireland, could go to UK. This one that we're just talking about, this is the next one. This one's with Florida and here. This is insane.
If you live in an area where any of these storms are expected to hit, please stay safe because it looks like Harp has been spamming the hurricane button.
Outrage in Queensland tonight after a local woman rocked up to her bank to withdraw cash, only to be told they didn't have any. Taryn Compton wanted to grab some notes to pay a tradie, but when she got to the ANZ ATM, she realised she'd forgotten her EFTPOS card. When she asked the teller for the money instead, she was told the bank doesn't carry cash.
And Taryn Compton's here to tell us all about her terrible banking experience. Taryn, what did you think when you walked into a bank only to be told they don't have cash?
I thought it was absolutely crazy. I thought she must have misheard what I wanted, if I'm honest. How can you go to a bank and not be able to get your own money out?
Taryn, that's what I'm confused about. So what's in the bank if there's no cash? Isn't there, if you open up the safe, what's in there? How did they explain it to you?
They just said, I'm so sorry, we can't help you. There's nothing we can do. We don't have cash here.
So did you think maybe that was a temporary situation? That maybe they were going to get some cash tomorrow?
No, she actually said, we don't carry cash anymore. We can't help you. She did say, if you're desperate for it today, you can transfer it to another bank and try and get it out there, but we can't help.
Was she in on how absurd this was? Like, did she get it was like you were walking into KFC and they said, sorry, we don't do chicken?
No, she wasn't. She was just, I'm really sorry, we can't help you. We just don't have money here anymore.
Taryn, do you think that banks should carry money, as in cash?
I do. They have got my money in their banking system. I should be able to access it, right? You have got my hard-earned cash. Where is it? I want it. And when the answer that you get is I just don't have it, it really does get you thinking about our whole banking system.
I would not have left that bank empty-handed. They're going to have to go to the back and get me some gold coins or something.
Okay, this is actually insane. The Cybertruck owner manual warns you that if you tow it incorrectly, it may explode. If you tow it with the wheels touching the ground like it shows in these graphics, it says doing so can lead to significant damage and overheating. In rare cases, extreme overheating may cause the surrounding components to ignite. For a truck that's built for any planet, it sure seems like you have to handle it pretty delicately. So there's a warning that in the event of a collision, high voltage and low voltage systems may be compromised and the entire thing might be energized. So before trying to transport it, you have to wait for emergency response professionals to show up and clear the entire vehicle that it's no longer charged. Failure to do so may result in serious injury. And then there's another new problem called the dreaded clunk, which happened to this guy. He said, my dual motor failed and is now a single motor limited to 65 miles per hour. Somebody asked what the heck causes this, and he said, I was accelerating in off-road mode from 25 to 40 miles per hour when I heard a thunk, then lost the rear motor. And he said he didn't hit anything, it just failed randomly. This other guy had the same problem, and he said he tried resetting the computer and letting it rest overnight, but that only made it worse and it was then undrivable. And this brings us full circle because he said he had to drag it out of the garage and up his driveway. So I hope he read the owner's manual and didn't try to drag it by its wheels because it could have exploded.
I don't know how Elon was even allowed to start selling a Cybertruck with all these issues. You'll be better off driving a Tonka truck.
This right here is one of the many reasons why I have a major problem with the entertainment industry. Just around a week ago, New York Fashion Week took place and a lot of influencers had on these same exact sunglasses. Supposedly when wearing these sunglasses in photos, it allows your face to be slightly blurred so that people can't use deepfake technology. The weird thing about it is that they constantly had security coming up to these influencers telling them to take the glasses off. And then when you take into consideration how much AI technology has advanced within these past couple of years, it makes you wonder what these paparazzi are really using these pictures for. Just pay attention to how weird it gets when the security keeps coming back and forth. And y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Apparently, the brand behind these sunglasses is a brand by the name of Neothrone, who claim that they use AI to AI facial recognition systems to prevent deepfakes. They do this by using false anti-surveillance technology. The False AI project was developed to protect citizens against unregulated AI technology. Over the years, social media sites continue to use our face without our knowledge or consent to build facial recognition models. Dr. Ivan Kashmetic, a former professor at the University of Michigan, was researching ways to find out how to use AI against itself. He experimented with AI technology that crippled other AI facial recognition systems. He had feared that the AI were getting too complex and strong because they started to talk to one another in a language that was too hard for humans to decipher. Now it's weird because whenever you look up Dr. Ivan from the University of Michigan, the only person that pops up is a guy who in 1991. Seems pretty weird, but y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments.
I can't say I know for sure what happened to Dr. Ivan Kashmetic, but I know if his research ever made it mainstream, then a lot of these big tech AI firms probably wouldn't exist because it would directly combat the training. And if I was that influencer, I would have told that security guard that I would take off my glasses as soon as you take off those white Hirachis with that suit.
Young lady, throw your hands in the air. Black guy, throw your hands in the air. Remix. Now let's shake to this. How much more can you make to this? I like the sound. Tell the bartender to another round. I don't know where the bounds are. Give a shout out. That's a Chris. Can we get a shout out?
I feel like pretty soon we're going to start hearing about a lot more celebrities that were regulars at these parties, but please don't tell me that Ashton Kutcher is a baby oil bandit too.
So in February of last year, an F-22 fighter jet shot down an unidentified object over Canada's Yukon territory on the 11th of February. Recently, through a Canadian Freedom of Information request, the image of that object was released to the public. It literally looks like somebody took a picture and then emailed it to their buddy and then printed it out and then scanned it and sent it to their other buddy. That's about how good it looks. It's grainy. It was approved for public distribution right after the incident pretty much, but then it was held back from a public affairs official who expressed some sort of concern, saying that releasing it could create more questions or confusion.
If they actually shot it down, then why wouldn't they just release a photo of the wreckage instead of this? This looks like somebody Xeroxed the Beats logo.
After Typhoon Yagi hit the Hainan province in China and disrupted the power supply, it seems hundreds of residents are unable to buy anything without their phones. A user on X shared this video showing people crowded around a stall, desperately waiting for a generator to charge their phones, adding that without a phone in China, you can't even buy a piece of bread. Alipay and WeChat Pay are the two main payment apps used in China, with only 3.7% of the money in circulation in the country being cash. And this natural disaster has raised a lot of concerns around the reliance on electricity supply in an almost cashless society.
This is why going cashless would be a terrible idea, and if this happened in America, nobody would be waiting to charge their phones. They would just charge into the stores and take what they want.
Things get even stranger when further down the road, the Tesla detects someone on a motorbike. Watch what happens. The driver finds a small motorbike figurine placed on a nearby grave, right where the car was detecting a bike.
I don't know how they managed to design a car where you can't enter or exit while it's being updated, but it can detect paranormal activity. That's a real feat of engineering.
But when you see this stuff in America, you know what's really weird? All the state capitol buildings that don't really match up. Like, why did they build something that was straight out of ancient Rome in, like, Iowa? You know, like, in Nebraska. 2,500 people live in a town somewhere, and they build a post office that has 700 rooms and is like an ancient castle. It's the same like with the Mormon temple, where they said they went out to Utah, you know, with horse and buggy and nobody else out there, and they supposedly built this wonder of the world castle with no rails and no dump trucks and no cranes, and it goes down 40 to 60 feet underground with more building. And even think about like the 1 year timelines. A lot of these buildings are 1 year wonders where they created this very elaborate stone building in 1 year. But then you think about some of these places that have 1 year timelines, and then they work in like Syracuse, you know, Albany, Syracuse, New York, these crazy places like that. Explain to me how much work they're getting done in the dead of winter when the roads would have been horrible. Then you add snow on it, and then the logistics make no sense. Even think, like I said, go back to World War II. We're told that the Germans were not necessarily defeated by the Russian army. They were defeated by the Russian winter.
Yeah.
Because even with the high-tech German stuff, they couldn't even move the equipment during a harsh Russian winter. So that is like the highest tech stuff in the 40s. And then you're talking about these things were built with horses and buggies in the 1840s.
Maybe it's just difficult for us to imagine that they built these buildings in the 1800s because since we've all been alive, we've had access to advanced machinery. But even then, they must have been feeding their Clydesdales straight raw eggs and protein.
Does anyone want to tell me how in 1927 Universal Studios came up with this picture of the world when the first picture of the world wasn't available until the 1960s through NASA?
No, but for real though, does anyone want to tell me how Orson Welles could have made an alien invasion radio drama in 1938, a full 9 years before aliens crashed in Roswell? I'm not saying Orson Welles was an alien. I'm not saying that he knew something, but somebody's got to ask questions.
If you think about it, the Cold War officially began in 1947, and then shortly after that was the Roswell UFO crash, also in 1947. So maybe they used the Orson Welles UFO invasion bit as a script to kind of gain a psychological advantage that we were in possession of advanced technology. That's my theory.
These are the parts of France where World War I never really ended. This is called the red zones of France, and it's essentially just an archipelago of former battlegrounds that are still so polluted, pockmarked by the war. It's considered so toxic that humans aren't even allowed to enter. I don't know, it low-key looks like a golf course. So during World War I, there were about 60 million shells fired at Verdun, but 15 million of them failed to explode. So these rogue shells just created a bunch of craters that left behind heavy metals and lethal chemicals. To give you a sense, 99% of all plants die in the red zone due to the levels of arsenic. After the war, France divided up these former battleground areas into 3 zones, and the red zone closest to the front lines were deemed the least safe. They were like damaged beyond repair. Nothing can live there. It's too dangerous to even clean up. And today, even though the red zone has slightly been reduced, about 40 square miles of it, which is the size of Paris, are totally uninhabitable. And it's been over a century. There's still tons of unexploded shells everywhere, littered, some areas so polluted that nothing will ever have hope of growing. Allegedly, it could take 700 years to clean up all the shells and unexploded material. Now there's these ghost towns in these zones because there was a minor forced relocation because the government was like, it's way too dangerous to live here.
Good to know, because hiking through the French countryside would be like playing hopscotch in a minefield.
We have both seen the film that was taken out of the Dulce facility. Why would somebody make pictures like this showing the creation of some sort of alien being? And this is a facility. This is a facility that's run by the United States government. I mean, with your tax money.
Hamilton talked about the Dulce facility, and I've also heard about, genetic engineering programs at Area 51.
Yeah, there's no question that Dulce exists. I was the one that kind of led the research on that. I was at a meeting in Crestone, Colorado, and Tom Adams handed me a letter from a lady who lives in Las Vegas, and she was the one that tipped us off that this thing existed. So I talked to her, and she knew the location of some photos and videotape that had been taken inside Dulce by a guard who escaped during what they call the Dulce Wars of 1979. He used to contact her every 6 months, and he said, if I ever miss contacts 2 in a row for a year, you can go after this box, which they had hidden somewhere here in Nevada, that contained 6 minutes of videotape, 25 black and white photos, and some other documentation about what went on in Dulce. About 2 years ago, he did turn up missing. We never heard from him. And I think there was like 12 or 13 attempts after the box, but it had been hidden maybe at least 10 years ago, and the terrain and the foliage and everything changed. I don't think they ever got it out.
He said on level 5 he'd walk on by and people would be in cages and screaming and begging for help, and he was told to walk straight on through and not look or pay attention. Yeah. These people are all mad.
I heard that. And then from another source, Air Force engineering source, I heard that when he went there they referred to it as Section D. And then Bob heard it referred to when he was up at the test site just once, and somebody said, mentions something about it being shipped to Dulce, but that's the only reference he ever heard to it.
Now, I call these, the guys who are working in the facility as Igors, the invisible government's obedient robotons. It really is a Frankenstein factory.
If this is true and there's actually an underground alien base at Dulce and they ask me to work there, I don't care how much money they offer. I'm saying no, I would rather be the mailman at Area 51.
What is going on? Trunk is open. Guys, look at all these Cybertrucks and Teslas. No one's driving them? No one is in that car.
Nobody walked over here. Wait. There's nobody in these. What the heck? That car just sped off. There's no one in it. Oh.
Dude, no one's driving them. They are driving themselves.
They're just taking off.
No way.
They just drove away with no one.
Come on, I hid my camera. Well, there was no
one was in it.
What? Oh.
I didn't notice that. I want another one to go now.
This reminds me of Leave the World Behind. I would not be in that parking lot waiting to get kabooshed by a Tesla. If the storm is about to be bad enough to where you have to pull your charger into the living room, then you might as well evacuate. I don't even want to begin to imagine how he got it in there in the first place. But that was the video, guys. Don't forget to sub up, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.